I'm in Mill Springs, Kentucky, and you can see in the background the National Cemetery that's here. And I've been in a place like this right here a few times in my life where I watched loved ones in their final service, their funeral service here, and it's always been a somber event, especially when you see that flag being folded and given to the loved ones. I felt that this is a pretty appropriate place to do chapter 8 of Sean's book on politics. It's 2024 and we're in a very interesting year. It's an election year for president, and there's a lot going on. I want to make this a little bit more timeless, so I'm not going to speak to any of those issues. You want to talk about that? Let's talk about it, but give me a call or write me a note and we'll walk through some of that stuff together. It is all politics, but politics is a pretty big subject, and Sean has done a good job in kind of distilling it to, I think, 3 main points, and I'll get to those in a second. But as he seeks to define politics, the root word is from polis. I think it means the city. It's a Greek word. And I found this definition that kind of broadens that a little bit, but still speaks to that issue of the city, and I think what's involved in living in the city. Activities associated with making decisions in groups. In this city living, as we do those types of things, we often think of in regard to government making laws and rules for a society to live and thrive by. But politics is a big subject because it can encompass all kinds of groups. It doesn't just necessarily have to be government. It could be your family. There's politics going on in families all the time. We don't necessarily call it that. We call it family. We call it drama. We call it family dynamics. We call it a lot of different things. But there's politics going on there as well. But as Sean kind of fleshed this chapter out, I think he landed on 3 things that I think were very important, because they speak to the issue of this command from Jesus in Scripture that we love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, but we love our neighbor as ourselves. And he speaks to 2 things in regard to our neighbor. He said we should love them in a way to help them think about politics and speak in a way that speaks into politics. And he does that in 3 different ways. He says that we should lead with charity, we should seek to understand, and find common ground. Man, there's so much we can talk about in regard to those. But, you know, we get in our camps, we get in our tribes, and it's hard to push out of that because we make those our identities, and we live in those places, and we find echo chambers that speak to what we like to hear, and it perpetuates it. Sometimes it self-perpetuates it as we do that in our head, for sure, but as we fill our world around us, whether it's social media and the things that we want to hear, that you know, these are things that we believe, and they're important things to us, but we forget that there's an all-encompassing view as a believer, as a follower of Jesus, that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. And I think as we do that, we love God, for sure. And trying to lead with charity in this issue is a monumental task sometimes, because, like I said, we get kind of stuck in our heads in some of these issues, which are very important to us. And I could tell you all those issues that are important to me, and sometimes they can put a wall between me and somebody else, and I got to be careful. You know, those are important, and they're sometimes life and death issues. but I've got to slow down. And as I live my life, I'm leading with charity, because I want to, as Sean talks about, I want to seek to understand another person, because other people are made in the image of God. I want to listen to what they have to say, but I also want to find some common ground. As human beings, there's a lot of common ground there. We may not agree on a lot of things, but just being human is common ground. And there's so much more that I can say to that. But anyway, out here at Mill Springs, it's a sobering place sometimes when this is filled with people who are paying their last respects. And it's definitely a sobering place when you see all the people that have given their lives for our country. And that has implications in regard to this whole idea of politics too, because as we adopt laws and rules that we live by, it affects us all in so many ways, even to the point where we may even have to give our lives. That's another rabbit trail or hole we can go down and talk about those issues in life, those wars that we've been a part of, the rules and even Supreme Court decisions that have made that have led to lives being put on the line or lost because of those laws. Anyway, there you go. You want to talk more about this, you know where to find me. Love y'all. Bye.